Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Colleen, and today I am going to work on some speedy recipes. I feel like the holidays are coming at us really quick and I am not prepared, so I'm going to turn to some of my really quick no-bake holiday Christmas treats and get them all ready, because some of these I'm going to package up to give as gifts over the holiday season. So I will gather up what I need for the first recipe and we will be right back after this. So the very first dish that I'm going to make today, it's not a dish, it's a sweet treat. The very first sweet treat I'm making today is a maple walnut fudge. And this is one of those cheating recipes that you don't have to do anything very fantastic for. I have a small frying pan and it contains 3/4 of a cup of walnuts, and I'm going to put probably 2/3 of that. I'm going to just save, you know, a small handful for the top afterwards. I'm going to put that into a frying pan and I'm going to stick it quickly onto the stove top and just let the nuts warm a little bit. It lets out more of their essential oils, so we get a better flavor out of it. And we do not want to forget that they're there, because that would be a bit of a disaster. So most of this fudge is made in the microwave, and we'll be using the microwave a lot today for the recipes that I'm making. So we need 3 cups of white chocolate chips. So I think I probably have too many out here, but we'll see. And these are just, oh my gosh, I cut off they are 200 grams bags, but the proper measure by cup is 3 cups. So there's 2 cups. So I would say 3 cups of 200 grams a piece, or 3 bags of 200 grams a piece make 3 cups. Now to this, we are going to add some butter and a can of sweetened condensed milk. And then this is all going to go into the microwave. Let's get rid of that. And into the bowl we go. Now, we haven't made this entirely from scratch, of course, because we are using things out of tins and packages, but it's a homemade treat just the same, and it will free up your time so that you can do other things. Okay, now we've done that. We need 4 tablespoons of butter, and I'm just going to quickly measure that into here. 1. How's your holiday planning going? Are you ready? 2, 3, and 4. And last but not least, I'm going to add 3/4 of a teaspoon. Sorry about noise. I'm going to add 3/4 of a teaspoon of maple walnut extract, which you can just buy at most good grocery stores. I just picked this up new because my old one was expired. If you only make it once a year, then these bottles are only good for a few years. You don't get to use it all before it goes bad. Okay, now you could melt this all together except for the extract and add the extract at the end, but because we're not bringing this to a boil, it doesn't affect the extract. Okay, so I'm going to put this in the microwave. I'm going to do 30-second bursts, and while I'm at the stove, I'm going to stir those walnuts and make sure they're still doing okay. So I will be back in a moment. Oh yes, I think this has got it. Now, you want to work with this fairly quickly because as fast as it heats up, it cools down. So, this is looking great. I'm going to reach to the stove for the walnuts, and I am going to dump in the walnuts, reserving just a little bit back for the top. You don't need much. And give it a good stir so that everything gets mixed well together. And you want to have in advance prepared an 8x8 or a 9x9 inch cake pan with a bit of parchment paper, because it makes it, lifting it out of there and getting nice cuts on it a lot easier. Okay, and in we go. And as soon as I get it all out of here, it's already starting to chill up. And I'm going to smooth this out. And pat it down. And this, when it's all said and done, is going to go into the fridge for 4 hours. You want it to cool completely through so that you have nice cuts. Now let's bring back the last of those walnuts. Whew. And I'm just going to sprinkle them on top and give them a light pat down. Just there. There we go. So what do you think, folks? That went pretty fast, if you ask me. And this will make for some nice gift giving. So I will get this into the fridge and we'll move along to the next recipe. Now, recipe number 2. It's hard going back and forth with the recipes and the measurements because some of in Canada, the bags are all in grams, but most of the recipes are old recipes, and they are all in imperial measure, so pounds and ounces. So I'm going to give it my best guess here, but I think that I need 2 cups or 2 1/4 cups of chocolate chips. And I am using semi-sweet chocolate chips for this because I think that these are sweet enough. Today, this recipe, we're making haystacks. Now, there's some controversy around haystacks. Different people have different recipes for them and different ingredients that go in them. And I actually have a recipe. We always called it a macaroon. It had other names. We called it a hamburger cookie, of all things, because when my grandmother used to make the cookies, they would kind of flatten out, and they looked a bit like a fried hamburger patty. And one of my cousins, when he was instructed to go get the cookies, said, all I see here is hamburger. And my grandmother laughed about it, and from that time on they became known as hamburger cookies. You know, families and their things. So I have just over 2 cups. I might just add a few more to that just for the sake of it. And I am going to do the 30 seconds in the microwave. And I'm going to get my coconut ready to go because I'm going to need 4 cups of coconut. 3 to 4 cups. Depends on how thick you want it to be. Okay, into the microwave we go. 30 seconds. We've done this before. We can do this again. That definitely did the trick. Now it's nice and smooth. So that was a total of 90 seconds because I put it in there 3 times. Oh, what? Do you see my scissors? I'm not entirely sure what I did with them. Oh, there they are, hiding away. Now, you need about 3 to 4 cups. Let's see how much this will take. So, good to know. 200 grams is 2 cups. And I'm going to get that mixed in. And the haystack recipe that I have, the one we call macarons or hamburger cookies, also has oatmeal in it. And I have heard some people refer to that recipe as haystacks, even though our recipe for it clearly says macarons. I'm going to add 1 more cup and we'll see where we are. That's a pretty generous cup. And I'll just see if this is going to be enough. You don't want them to be so crumbly that they just fall apart on you, and you want to work pretty quick here. And my old spatula's having an issue, so I'm going to go to the wooden spoon. And I'm going to quickly mix this up, because as soon as this starts to cool, it's going to set up on me really quick. So I'm going to reach for a spoon, and I am going to spoon these out onto a parchment-lined, I've got a baking tray here, and that's all there is to that, folks. You can make them as big or as small as you want them to be. If you don't let them touch in the pan, then you have a better chance of getting them out whole. And as I said before, you have to work really quick. I can feel this all setting up already. But here we go with all these delicious little treats that we made in no time flat. We are going to come out of this day with a good jump on the Christmas treats. I was going to say baking, but there's absolutely no baking involved in any of these recipes today. So, in fact, I think most of these recipes can be made in under 10 minutes. Just grab another sheet and carry on. Now I'm making these with a tablespoon. You could make them with a teaspoon to make them go a little further. But I think we're going to end up with about 18 or 20. And we didn't have to put much effort into it. But the people who are receiving it on the other end, I know will be grateful that you took the time to make something for them, that you just thought about them. Today, we have so many people in the world that are not fortunate enough to have friends or loved ones who would be willing to take some time out of their day to do something special for them. So these will be very well received. I've got 12 there, and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 here. So 21. We made 21 cookies, and I couldn't be more thrilled. We'll move on to the next recipe. Okay, here we are on recipe number 3. And we're doing these in like record time. Definitely under an hour, probably under 30 minutes. We are making 4 holiday sweet treats that are great at this time of the year for gift giving or for just having out when people come for a visit. So this one seems like the most cheating one of all, but I don't mind having some of these quick recipes when time is of the essence and I still want to make something that's homemade for guests or friends. Now, what did I do with my spatula? So I have not quite enough. I should finish one thing before I move on to the other. I don't have enough chocolate chips in there. These are 300 grams, and I need about 340 grams. So let's dump this back into here so that you have an accurate measure into cups. So I am going to go, that's 2 cups. Let me spin this around. And a half. 2.5 cups of semi-sweet chocolate. And we're using this in the 2-ingredient fudge because we are also using a can of sweetened condensed milk, which is already sweetened. So we don't need to add any more than that. So just dump it in. I have over here at the ready a parchment paper lined, I'm not sure if it's 8 by 8 or 9 by 9, but it works. So whichever one you have will work just fine. Just means it might be a little thicker or thinner, but either way is good. Get all that sweet deliciousness out of the can. And as you've seen on the previous videos, this goes into the microwave. I'm going to do it in 30-second increments. It usually takes around 90 seconds in total, but I'm going to do it in 30s and stir in between.
Hey! Keisha, come say hi. Come say hi. Talk to YouTube.
This is Keisha and Peyton, and they've just come home from lunch, so
plus like
they're joining me for just a minute, and then they're going to take off.
Yeah.
See ya!
And be very quiet. Peace!
Okay, I did exactly what I said I was going to do. I put that into the microwave, and I did 90 seconds, and it's beautiful and silky. Now this is 2-ingredient fudge, but you could add to this. I could have saved back some of those walnuts that went into the maple walnut, or purchased some more. I could have done that. You could add a little vanilla to this. You could add different kinds of nuts and fruit, and it just comes out perfect every time. I'm going to work along pretty quickly because same thing applies here. This will cool off almost as fast as it melted, and we want to get the fudge into the pan before it has a chance to cool off. This couldn't be easier, folks. And at the price of fudge, if you've seen it in the store, you know that this is just as good a buy. And you have the ability to say, I made this. You can not feel bad about putting a gift on it that says homemade or made by. There you go. So, recipe number 3. It's headed for the fridge. I'm going to leave it in there about 4 hours before I try to do anything with it, and then I'm going to cut it into squares, but I'll show you what that looks like when I'm done. And we'll move on to the next recipe. Okay, here we are on the last of the 4 recipes that make really quick treats for the holidays. And this one contains peanut butter, so I'll be staying away from this one except making the cookies because I'm allergic to peanuts. So I make it, and my husband enjoys it, and everybody else too, and I just stay away from it. So right now I'm going to make a little noise. I didn't have any graham cracker crumbs, so I'm going to make some with my blender. And I'm just going to throw some sleeves in there. I need 2 cups of crumbs. So I'm going to throw some sleeves in there and get them working. And while I'm at it, I'm going to take this 3/4 of a cup of butter over to the microwave and get it melting because we need it to be melted. So I'll do those 2 things at the same time, and then I'll be back. Okay, I've got the crumbs made. I've got the butter melted. I'm going to pour the butter into this bowl for mixing. And I'm going to add the crumbs to that. Oof. Little splash there. I also need 2 cups of icing sugar or powdered sugar. And I'm going to measure them kind of level off. Don't need to get too carried away here. There we go. Now, I'm going to make a little noise then because I'm going to grab the hand mixer and I'm going to mix this up quite well. You're going to notice it's going to be crummy. Okay. And then last but not least, I need 1 1/4 cups of peanut butter in here. So I am going to finish off this container and start another one. Because I don't eat peanut butter, and it's just my husband, we don't go through a lot of peanut butter, so we buy it in smaller containers rather than bigger ones, because he can't go through them fast enough if you buy the big one. And he assures me that this is delicious. That's why I'm sharing this recipe with you. Okay, that's a 1/2 cup. Let's get the other half filled. Doesn't take long, even with all the extra steps of this one. It doesn't take long to make this recipe. The thing that takes the longest with all of these recipes is the time that it takes to cool them in the refrigerator. Oh man, I got too much there. I just need 1/4 more. Here we go. I'm going to mix this up with the mixer again. Get rid of those. Put the lid back on that. And get rid of this. Okay, let's mix this up. And there we go. Now let's clean up these beaters. I'll take them out of here to do that. And it's still pretty crumbly, but this really doesn't set up until it's been refrigerated well. Now, I'm just going to grab a Ziploc baggie, and I'm going to use it when I flatten this out in the pan. So I have a parchment-lined 8x8 or 9x9, I'm never sure what these are. And there's no giveaways. But either way, it would work just fine if it was 8x8 or 9x9. It's just a matter of the thickness of the treat when you're done with it. scrape this out pretty good. And there we go into the pan. And I'm just going to press this down and get it into all the corners and leveled out. I just don't want it on my hands because then there's too much chance it could get near my mouth, and that would not be good. I have to wash everything very, very carefully after this. Okay. Now, last step in this process is the chocolate topping. So I have in here 2.5 cups of chocolate to melt. It is bits, I forget what it's called. Let me get the bag. It's called semi-sweet chocolate chips and chunks. And I ended up with chocolate chips and chunks because the store was out of just chocolate chips. I guess everybody has the same idea right now, and they're busy preparing treats for Christmas. So I'm going to melt this down in the microwave, and then I'll show you the step. Okay, it took me about 2.5 minutes to melt down this chocolate. And now I'm going to pour it here on the top of the peanut butter mixture and spread it out. I'm going to get it into all the corners, and there's plenty here to make a nice crust on the top. Just have to persevere a little bit to get everything covered up. I'm going to just drag this over here because I need a little more here. And there we go. I'll use this knife and just clean off the last little bit here. Let's do that. That's as good as we're going to get it, folks. Okay. And there we go. Peanut butter bars. These are going to now go into the fridge with the rest, and I will start cutting them so that you can see what they look like when they're all finished. Here we are. This is the maple walnut, and the paper is coming off quite easily because we use parchment paper. I'm just going to put it down on the board. I think the edges are pretty good. They're pretty square, so I'm not going to have to square it up at all. And I'm not the straightest cutter, but then I feel like, who is, right? We're not trying for perfection here. But we are keeping in mind, if you are using these recipes for gift giving, you want to keep that in mind. You want to have them look good and be somewhat similar in size so that they do look good. Now you just have to be patient and rock your way through this. I have this nice long knife that is a terrific help for things like this. Now my last row is going to be not the same size as the rest, and probably not as square as the rest because I went off kilter there. So I'm sure that the household won't mind taking care of the scraps. And here we go. Let's just cut them into about 1 inch or a little better squares. As I said, try to maintain them all in the same size. And I'm just going to stack them here on my board for now. When I get everything done, I will take some pictures of everything that we've accomplished in a really short time. I think I chose a small board because I don't think we're going to get all of our treats on this board. Let's move on to the next one. And here I have the 2-ingredient fudge. And again, because we use the parchment paper, it's coming out of the parchment really nice. And my knife is good. So let's try and work our way through this one. Okay, I have the 1-ingredient fudge all cut up. And I'm just going to stack it up here as well. Look at this. Now, you could certainly make up nice little gift baskets or bags, little bags that you could put inside gift baskets, or little candy boxes. You could do all of those things with these fudges. I'm just reaching for the haystacks because they too are all ready. And I can see right now you're not going to get a look at the peanut butter squares because they're not going to make it onto here. But I will add a picture of the peanut butter square at the end of the video, just so that you can see what it looks like. And I'm only going to get a dozen on here, and I'm going to squeeze to do that, so then I have extras over the counter. So there you go, folks. This is what about 40 minutes of work has accomplished. We've made 4 different kinds of holiday treats, including maple walnut fudge, 2-ingredient chocolate fudge, haystacks, and peanut butter bars. So I think this is well worth the time and the effort that went into it, and I'm sure that whoever you're giving this to or whoever you're serving it to would really appreciate the time and effort that you took. They will think that you took forever trying to make all this stuff, but you'll know better. I hope you would have enjoyed this video, folks, and if you have, you'll give it a like and a thumbs up and comment below. I love to hear from everybody. And I look forward to seeing you again on the next one. Take care, everyone.